If there was a Pokemon that was every single type, what would it be weak to? Would it even have weaknesses? Let's build this Pokemon, starting with types that have immunities. So let's start with normal. Gives us an immunity to Ghost, but it does give us a weakness to fighting. Ghost gives us an immunity to normal and fighting, and a resistance to poison and bug, but a weakness to dark. Dark gives us an immunity to psychic, makes bug and dark neutral again, and gives us a weakness to fairy. Giving us fairy makes us immune to dragon moves, makes poison neutral, gives us a resistance to bug and dark, and makes us weak to steel. Steel gives us an immunity to poison, makes steel and fairy neutral, gives us resistances to flying, ice, grass, rock, and bug, and a weakness to fire and ground. Adding ground makes us immune to electric, neutral to grass and ice, makes us more resistant to rock, and gives us a water weakness. And the final type that gives us immunity is flying, making us immune to ground. But now we have an ice weakness. Grass and rock have a default resistance, and bug becomes even weaker. With all the immunities now knocked out, it's time to get into the bulk of the typings. Adding dragon gives us a 4 times weakness to ice, like most dragons in the game, and a weakness to fairy, but it does make fire and water neutral and makes us more resisted to grass. Adding the rock typing gives us a weakness to water and steel, default resistances to fire and grass, and more resistance to flying. Adding bug makes fire and rock neutral, flying isn't as resisted, and grass is more resisted. Psychic makes dark neutral and brings bug up 1 tier. Poison makes fairy neutral, and it makes grass and bug more resistant. Adding fighting gives us a fairy weakness. Flying becomes neutral, rock and dark become resisted, and bug goes down once again. Ice makes fire and ice 2 times weaknesses, makes rock neutral, and steel is now a 4 times weakness. Electric just makes our steel weakness a 2 times weakness, and makes flying resisted now. Water makes water, ice, fire, and steel all neutral, and grass is a little less resisted. Grass gives us back our weakness to fire and ice. Grass and bug are now resisted the same. Water is now resisted, and flying is now neutral. And last but not least, the fire type. This makes fairy, fire, ice, and water all neutral. Steel is now resisted. Bug and grass are even more resisted. Rock enjoyers rejoice because the one and only weakness that the Pokemon with every single type has is rock. Now, if it didn't have a flying typing attached to it, it is 8 times weak to ground. Smackdown, anyone?